Okay, so welcome to Demonology 101 Investigating. It's probably going to be my favorite video yet. No, I probably shouldn't say that, but it's alright. So, as far as jumping right into things, this is, excuse me, probably one of the few things that you honestly shouldn't just jump into and just start doing. Um, Mainly because there's a lot of not necessarily prep, but lack of a better word, preparation to start your own investigations. Not just demonology related, but um, ghost hunting, uh, demonology, just anything really paranormal that has you dealing with things that aren't normal for a lot of people. So let's get right to it. As far as sorry, probably should have brought some water, but it's fine. So I'm gonna do books first. All right. The main thing you need to read are not necessarily how tos, but history on what instrument, not what gear to bring, what instruments to bring, what to do to protect yourself, things like that. Right. So my first one is honestly always going to be this one because it's the first book I ever read that got me into being a necromancer. So, The Witch's Book of the Dead by Christian Day. All right. It's it's not just informative, but it also teaches you, not teaches you, but it tells you how to make your own powders and incenses and things like that, oils, um, to help you with anything necromancy related, right? So, say you're going to, I don't know, your friend's house, and they're like, "Hey, um, you know about like spirits and ghosts and things, right?" And you say, "Yeah, I mean, I know my fair share." And they ask you to look at their attic. The first thing that you should do is one, always be wearing something that you either charged yourself, or if when you wear it you feel protected, right? I have a few things. When I'm specifically doing necromancy work, I actually have this. It's a little skull necklace and my little Solomonic uh, pentacle. You could kind of see it ish. But the main thing that you really should do is look at it objectively. All right. It doesn't necessarily matter if you actually think something is there or not. Go through the list. All right. See how old the house is. See if there's any underlying problems. See if there's plumbing issues. Things like that. Rule out everything physical and in this realm first, and then go into the paranormal side. Then say, oh, okay, so we've ruled out everything, and so let's start looking somewhere else. This kind of goes into that, right? And there's also a couple of different books I have here on like doing your own stuff, but I'll get to that in a second. So read first, like do your actual reading, and make sure that this is something that you are comfortable investigating, that you actually are confident in what you're doing. A few things that you should keep with you other than like a watch is battery pack for your phone, your anything that really needs charging with a USB. A couple of different flashlights. You can get these at like the dollar store or something. It's fine. If you want to spend the money and get an actual kit, you can. It's going to cost you a pretty penny, but if you're going to buy a kit, save up and get a really good one, because if you keep buying like beginner kits, or if you keep doing these investigations, you're eventually going to have to keep buying those same kits over and over and over again, because sooner or later, you're going to wear them out. So take the time, spend the money, and actually find a really, really good kit that is going to last you. I'll usually recommend Ghost Stop. They actually have some really good kits for really good prices too. But the one thing that you should always have, if you don't get the kit, that's fine, but get you an EMF. Electromagnetic frequency meter, right? And I mean, you can get a thermometer too. Laser grid's always good, but if you don't get any of those other ones, get the EMF reader. All right, because you're going to be using that a lot more than anything else. Now, as far as apps go, I don't necessarily trust cell phones as far as that goes. I don't necessarily trust technology, period. But doing paranormal investigations, it's good to actually have that outside thing that you won't, as a human with human ears, will hear. Now, here's the magical side of that. If you're clear audio, which means you can hear dead people, that'll help, but not. The dead don't always want to be heard, nor do they a lot of times want to be noticed when they just want to be left alone. Some of them, want to be noticed because, oh, hey, you can see me, you can hear me, I might be alive. And then things start to get thrown because, you're not paying attention to them. Which sometimes it happens. But as far as doing seances in abandoned buildings, don't do that, because you're still trespassing. Okay, it's if you get hypothetical. If you walk into an abandoned building and you're carrying all this kind of equipment, right? And you don't have a permit and you aren't actually allowed to be in there, they will arrest you for trespassing. Point blank. They won't ask why. I mean, they might, but they really won't care. But if you try and say that, you're ghost hunting, 90% of the time, whoever's arresting you will laugh in your face, because they're like, well, you do know this is still trespassing, because still a lot of abandoned buildings are private property. There's a reason why it says private property, no trespassing. It people don't read signs. But whenever you're doing anything, go through the right channels first. Okay? If everybody is saying no, 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 we don't want you here, blah 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 blah, give up, walk away. Because whatever legal action they can and will take against you, they will. It's not going to be worth it. All right. Moving on. Few other books other than The Witch's Book of the Dead are as follows. Love saying as follows. Solitary Seance by Raymond Buckland. It's not necessarily going to teach you how to talk to spirits on your own, but he'll give you tools. Like, he'll give you references of like what tools you can use. There's, obviously tarot. There's pendulums. There's writing. There's the obvious spirit boards or Ouija boards, automatic writing. There's a few in here. Runes. He's got a lot. But it also has a lot to do with meditation too. Okay. And later I'll actually give you a list of a few, not all of them, but a few oils and herbs to kind of mix into making your own psychic oil, lack of a better word. And then finally, these two. This one's how to be a ghost hunter and ghost hunting for beginners. Read this one first. Read that one first. Because any beginner's book, read the beginner's book first. Period. Point blank. I don't care if you're experienced. I don't care if you think you know what you're doing. Read beginner's guides first, because if you haven't done this before, but you say you know what you're doing, you really don't. But other than those books, and I'll try and leave a list of them in the description. There's a lot that you can read on doing your own investigations. But really, if you want to be smart about it, don't do it alone. If you genuinely think that it might be something, don't do it alone. I'm speaking from experience. Don't do it alone. Because it's definitely not the smartest thing to do. And the king of bad decisions. It's fine. But moving on to the next topic of oils, oil recipes, however you want to say it. Okay. If you want to go the whole psychic side of it, you're more than welcome to. Don't get me wrong. But still have somebody else who's not clairvoyant in any way to be there to be like, hey, that might be something that you're just hearing because we're not hearing any of that. Okay. Now, give me a second. I'm burning a charcoal so that I can actually burn some of that recipe. So while that's lighting, some different oils to kind of mix, right? If you're wanting to do the whole psychic side, definitely labdanum and mugwort. But don't just do those. All right, and also make sure that they're all diluted um, extremely, because a lot of them can and will make your skin irritate, things like that. And you don't want to worry about, itching your skin when you're trying to concentrate. I mean, that's just common sense 101. And also more the fact that if you know that whatever you're mixing is extremely concentrated, if you dilute it well enough, then you'll be able to mix a lot of different things that you won't necessarily have problems with. Now, I don't necessarily go by vibrations, but one of our readers that we work with, her name's not being divulged right now, but she is probably one of the most accomplished paranormal demonologists that I've ever met and had the privilege of working with. Not in any of that kind of capacity, but I see her almost every day for my actual job. And she does a lot of things with vibrational work. And when I was asking her, what kind of oils she think that it would be better to mention using in your work, the one that I didn't necessarily think of, because I don't really like the taste of it often, is lime. Lime is actually very good for doing paranormal work because of the masculinity in it. And to quote her, it's not that femininity is wrong, but it's got that really aggressive side to it. So sometimes you need that aggressiveness to be like, hey, you kind of really shouldn't be here, but we need to talk. Like, we need some communication, right? Now, one of my go-tos is always going to be myrrh. Myrrh with frankincense. Both are good for attracting spirits, contacting spirits, but frankincense helps with the protection side of it, I want to say, and because I don't necessarily use frankincense often like that, but myrrh is better for me. Myrrh is better for the spirit communication part, not communication, but attracting them. But myrrh's also very good in the consecration of not just you as essentially a vessel, but you as a person, you know. So it's, for me, it's a lot better to use versus just mugwort, because just mugwort alone, it can be strong, don't get me wrong, but usually for the type of work I personally do, it's mugwort, myrrh, and a few other things as well. Another good one as far as oils go is labdanum. All right. And it helps open up your third eye. So if you're going to go again with the psychic route, do mugwort and labdanum. All right. Okay. You can also do a little bit of lavender to kind of get that soothing in. but that's really up to you. Like, not a lot of people like the smell of lavender. A lot of people do. Some don't like the feel of it. Some don't like how it makes your skin. It's a whole this thing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad to use. Now, Tangerine's also good. Um, so if anybody is writing this down, great. If anybody's not writing this down, you probably should, or go back and rewatch the video later. If you want to go the psychic protection side, fennel is really good, as well as basil. Basil, bay leaves, things like that. So whenever you're mixing your oil, here's a key thing. Whenever you're mixing your oil, whenever you're using a carrier, whether it's sweet almond, olive oil, coconut oil, whatever oil is going to be your base, use a little bit of an actual herb itself. And some herbs you actually can't get the oil form. Solomon seal is one of them. Okay. Use Solomon seal in that mix. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, well, what if I'm not Catholic and, all this other stuff? Will Solomon seal still work for what we're doing? Yes. Yes, Solomon seal will still work even though you're not Catholic. Or even though you might not be investigating a demon phenomenon. Doesn't mean that it's not working. But with Solomon seal, it's very good for protective work, period. That's the proportions are always going to be a little bit different for everybody who's making their own. Really, it's all going to depend on what's actually going to work for you and how much you actually can mix, versus like how much you have on hand. But other than that, that's that for that part. Things to keep on you. EMF reader, your EMF detector. I usually would always keep Solomon seal, but that's me. Definitely get a bag or two, like, per person who's in your group, who's on your team. So, and honestly, they don't have to be big. They really don't have to be big. Mine usually is something I can always carry on me. This is just my daily bag. But with that one, I can actually go on investigations if I need to, because everything I have that I need fits in there. But also, as far as oils go, I'm actually using something my grandpa used to have. Get you a little bag like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a doctor's bag, but get you a bag that you can actually just keep your oils in, that's separate from everything else you're carrying. Just because in case it leaks, it doesn't get over anything, it doesn't ruin anything. But grab you like maybe 3, 4, 5 different lights. I didn't do it. Can't prove it. Get you like 3 or 4 different small, like, skinny lights, flashlights that you can buy at like the dollar store, Walmart, whatever. They don't need to be expensive. They really don't. They just need you to see in the dark. That's really it. Palo Santo. I honestly would keep either a necklace or a bracelet of Evil Eye on, just for the simple fact of it helps with protection. That's really it. A watch, battery pack. Accidentally turned it on. And for me personally, it's gonna differ. In general, I usually carry some tarot card or a tarot deck, my runes, and a black crystal obsidian crystal ball. Okay, mainly just in case of those instances where like there's something there, but it's something that shouldn't be. So you should disclaimer: you should not do this, especially if you do not have experience with this. I use a black obsidian crystal ball for containments. Okay, I use it in banishings, containment spells, because it's endless night. All right, it's endless darkness, so they can't get out, and that's it. All right, they're trapped. But there's a reason why I say I speak from experience, because shade is not the smartest item in the bunch. Often. Mainly it's I don't know. I have a thing where if I know something's not supposed to be there, but I don't want it there, then I remove it. Mainly because I know how. But also Florida water. Okay? That's why I'm saying always at least have a bag on you, because you're going to be carrying some shit. And mine has a few different pockets, so I can carry almost as much as I want. But I can definitely carry as much as I need. Now, if you're really wanting to actually like go and try and find ghosts and go to haunted buildings and all, that's fine, but just know that what you see on TV isn't actually always how it is. Like, it's not every single time you go. Not every single time that you go looking for something, you're going to find something. That's not how it's going to go. If you happen to run into a ghost or run through a ghost, whatever, then fine, so be it. But it's always going to be different for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be a little bit more susceptible to paranormal phenomenon. A lot of people are just going to be skeptical to the point where it's not really healthy for them. That's why I'm saying get you a team of, I would say, at least between 3 and 5. If you want to do more, so be it. But there might be some problems along the way if you get more than 5. But I don't know, that's really all going to depend on the group as a whole. I would say get you a few walkie-talkies as well. Worst case scenario, get you wireless headphones, wireless earbuds that hold a charge for a good few hours, if not a day. That's why I'm saying also bring a battery pack and a few charging cords, because depending on how long you want to be there and depending on how long you're able to, that's all gonna everything depends on how long you're actually wanting to and are actually going to be in a certain area. um get you a few digital cameras. All right, a lot of them are cheap. It's fine. Get a few tripods. I mean, it's like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to spend the money and get a good kit, by all means, spend the money. But that doesn't mean you have to. Um, other than that, it's everybody's gonna want to bring something, but definitely Florida water to cleanse yourself before and after. Last little piece of advice before I move on is, if you're going to do an investigation for a couple of days, and this is something that you know you're going to be doing for either quite a few years or just the rest of your life, or it's a calling, honestly, I would get some type of uniform, not uniform, but uniform. Just like certain clothes that you're gonna wear, um, only for investigations. Because say you're at work and you just happen to be wearing what you will on an investigation. If no one knows, if they don't really pay attention what your face looks like, if a spirit knows what you wear or what amulet or talisman that you have on you that can help you be around them, then they're they're gonna sense it. They're gonna be like, "Hey, shit's going down. We need to talk." And you're gonna be like, "Well, I'm at work. I can't deal with this shit. Like, I can't deal with this right now." So it's it's very important to have something specific. Like I said, I wear this skull necklace whenever I'm doing necromancy work, and I use and always wear the the Solomon pentagram, pentacle, however you want to say it, whenever I can. Um, Definitely always in investigations. That's my one. I'm not leaving the fucking house without it kind of thing. If I do, I'm stupid. Which, let's be honest, sometimes I am. It's fine. But I usually carry a lot of different things. Um, and a few people that I do investigations with, like, I'll have something specific that I want them specifically to bring. Um, but it's not necessarily because I can't fit it. It's there's usually a plan that I'm trying to do, and it's usually because I know in the long run it's actually going to work out the way I need it to. So there's that. Um, that's it for really what you should bring. Um, EMF, protective talismans or amulets, watch, flashlights, power bank, walkie-talkies / wireless headphones, just to kind of always keep in contact with everybody. And this is why I say I'm stupid sometimes. The main thing that I almost forgot was always bring a journal. All right, that's why. Sorry, my entire right cheek is itching like crazy. But always bring a journal, right? Speaking from a demonologist point of view and just a witch point of view in general, always have a notebook on hand just for instances where it's like, I'm not sure how this is actually supposed to be. Like, the energy is just off, because a lot of times it's not going to work out well. Evil eye bracelet or necklace. Palo Santo for cleansing the area once you're done. Once you are done, cleanse the goddamn area. Like it really, it's not that hard to close a door, people. It's really not. It's really not. Say thank you, goodbye, go back to where you came from, and conversation done. Done. I will always be baffled with how stupid people can be sometimes. Now, on to the next subject of how to go about doing your investigation. All right, I kind of briefly talked about it earlier where it's like just go down the list first. If you're the witch of the group, if you're the psychic of the group, then you focus mainly on the magical or the paranormal side of it all. Let somebody else deal with the muggle side, the mundane side. Okay? Because it's not necessarily a bad thing to want to find a magical reason for something, but it doesn't always mean that that's actually what's happening. Sometimes it could just be, it's just backed up pipes, or it's just wind blowing through a pipe. It can be something really, really, really stupid that literally no one would actually think of unless you looked at everything. And it's The Conjuring, the first Conjuring movie, where you see Ed and Lorraine investigating not the main house that the movie revolves around, but the first one where they're in that attic, and Ed steps on a specific wooden plank in the attic, and then there's this like kind of like growling roar-ish type of noise, and then the two owners like immediately get scared, and it's like, it's just old pipes. Like, your house isn't actually haunted, it's just old piping. Sometimes it's really that simple. That's it. It's really that simple sometimes. And honestly too, don't as far as the Conjuring movies and that whole universe goes, watch I would suggest watching the movies because sometimes that actually does give kind of a good reference point on what to do in some situations. But don't take it as this is exactly what happened, because it, at the end of the day, is a Hollywood movie. But on the opposite side of that, actually look at Ed and Lorraine Warren's history. You know, actually go look at the investigations they did. Look at the Amityville horror story, and you'll be able to see how different things actually can be versus what they are in movies and TV shows. Excuse me. Um, as far as exorcisms go, don't automatically think that your house is haunted and you need an exorcism. Sometimes all it needs is just, if it's a human spirit, honestly, just ask them if they can leave because it's bothering you. Like, a lot of times, them being dead, like, sometimes they're like, oh shit, sorry, um i'll I'll see myself out. Sometimes they do actually do need a little bit of help. um there there was a client of mine a couple of weeks ago that, again, shall remain nameless because of privacy stuff. A family member of his um wanted to stick around to see if he would be okay without him, um because they were close and all this other stuff. But the my client didn't necessarily believe that people actually he believes in ghosts, don't get me wrong, but he didn't think people, like family members, actually stayed after death to um keep tabs on them, like to check on them. And you know an agreement was made, and we were like, okay, so end of the month is coming up soon. um get your thoughts in order, because my client's relative was not going to stay any longer because it wasn't going to be healthy for either of them. And it was all agreed, moved on, and it's actually been not necessarily happy. Like, he's still upset that he can't feel his brother there anymore. But yeah, it's it happens, you know. But that's not always the case, unfortunately, especially in this business. Now, if for some reason you want to do a seance, like specifically a seance, get somebody who knows what they're doing first, because beginners, it's never a good idea, um, because that sometimes is the reason why Hollywood and a lot of people just have this negative annotation to them that witchcraft and magic is evil, because they don't know how to do things. And actually have somebody very specific you are trying to contact, have a picture of them, have their actual full name, date of birth, birthplace if you know it. And it'll be better from there. Now, whether or not you're actually going to be able to contact them, that's always up in the air. Unless you're an actual reader, unless you're an actual psychic, it's not really going to work out for you well. It might work out for you, but it's not always the best idea. So always have at least somebody who knows what they're doing, or at least knows enough. But speaking more to the whole investigation side, with my client, what I did was he thought there was something demonic in his house. Something was just screaming at me like that's not the case. So we went through the list. I started in the back room. I started in his spare room. Went through the kitchen, the crawl space under the house, the attic, the what's that called? I don't know, I guess the divider of the place. I don't know. I'm terrible with with descriptions sometimes. But I'm also trying not to give away where they live, because confidentiality is still a thing, guys. Even in this business, not a lot of people want their business put out there, especially nowadays. Like, really, it's really all about knowing if excuse me, if something is actually in the house or not. Now, the biggest thing to watch out for is if you honestly truly think that something demonic is in that house, the main thing you have to know is demons, anything non-human, do not possess things. They don't possess dolls. They don't possess boxes. They don't possess mirrors. They don't possess A, B, C, Z. They possess people. And 99% of the time, it's not for a good reason. That's it. That's really it. And it does get hard sometimes to figure out exactly what's what. And that's why I'm saying you have to have a team. Because if things go sideways for you, you can't pull yourself back. It's I don't care how strong you think you are, you cannot pull yourself out of that. You need somebody to be like, wake the hell up. This is not how this shit goes. And it's be smart. Just be smart. And also, if you can tell somebody's just genuinely scared out of their mind, don't make it worse. You know, tell them, hey, look, I understand that, you think that something might be in your house. It's a possibility, but let's look at everything else first. Let's make sure that it's not something that can be fixed with a wrench. You know, um, because Hollywood movies, TV shows have portrayed it like it's something that happens every day, which it really doesn't. Hauntings and possessions don't happen on a daily basis. They really don't. It's and even if you do find somebody who's having signs, I guess, that oh, something might be wrong. Also, honestly, look at mental health too. Like there's a lot of different reasons why somebody might be acting the way they do. Like they might be on drugs, they might be an alcoholic. Sometimes spiritually they're not in the right place, and sometimes something might be attached to them to make them be an alcoholic, be on drugs, whatever. But again, that's not always the case. Some people just it runs in the family, and unfortunately things like that happen. um Main thing I'm trying to say is, oh, I'm sorry, baby. Sorry, I just woke my dog up. Main thing I'm trying to say is, don't rely so much on the magic paranormal side of it all. Get to the nitty gritty shit. Like, get to the actual shit of it. Because if you focus too much on the magic side and you say, oh, well, I've seen this, and this happen, so it's got to be a spirit. It's got to be this. It's got to be that. Um, this is one of the few things where it's like it actually you. There's a reason why I keep saying do your research, is because if you just automatically assume everything, then this is definitely not the line of work for you. This is not the path for you. This is you. If you say this path chose you and you're not even doing any of the research to figure out why a house might be making noises, you're an idiot. I will straight up tell you, you're an idiot for not actually looking at shit. I will, depending on the circumstances, I might laugh in your face. But then I will also tell you that whatever you think this is, whatever you think this is calling to you, it's not. Because if this was really calling to you, you would be doing the research. You would be actually looking into the entire situation, not just one-sided. Because that's the one thing that everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people do tend to forget, is with being a demonologist and being a paranormal investigator or researcher, you have to have an open mind. You have to. Because if you go in narrow-minded and with your head so far up your ass that you think you know what's going on before you even get there, then the investigation's already gone to shit. I'm sorry. Actually, no, I'm not. But, sorry makes people feel better. Whenever you're doing anything that involves investigating any type of situation, whether you're wanting to go into the police department or the fire department or hell, even being a doctor, basic critical thinking skills still need to happen. That's it. That's it. End of story. So if you don't even really consider any other possibility, then we don't need to be having this conversation. Now, if you're actually curious as to, hey, I've exhausted all of these other possibilities. I've exhausted all of these possibilities of the magical side, but I don't know. I really feel like there is something in that house. I really feel like something is going on. Then we can look deeper into it. Okay? If Ma'am, what are you doing? You are never this Hello. Hi. Oh, you want to be on camera too? Okay. Say hello. This is Love. She is a pit bull that thinks that she's a chihuahua. Okay, she's a human child. But the biggest, I know, the biggest thing that I can ever really say to anybody is really look into. Yes, she is being adorable. Is to really do your research on the building, the area specifically, because this might be a Native American burial ground. If you really want to look at the nitty-gritty side, America in general was a Native American burial ground. Okay. Europeans did not originate from here. So that whole poltergeist saga, it's not always that. Okay, this could have been a burial ground, yeah, but I live in a city where we have more dead people than living. So do with that what thou wilt. Okay? And it's like really, when it comes down to it, if you turn a corner, you can almost be guaranteed you're going to feel somebody there. Now, whether or not you're going to have a whole paranormal experience, it doesn't always happen. You might feel something there, but it doesn't mean that, hey, I'm going to see a ghost. No. Now, speaking to that, and this is probably going to be my last little tidbit because it is getting late and I do need to put the baby to bed. And when I say the baby to bed, I mean this baby. This baby. Yes, I'm talking about you. If you are on a ghost tour, if you book a ghost tour, strictly thinking that you will 100% encounter a ghost, do something else with your life. Please. Because one, that's just going to automatically give tour guides a bad review. That's going to give the tour company a bad review for no reason whatsoever other than you didn't see a ghost. That makes no sense. Okay? That makes zero sense at all. If you do see a ghost, if you do happen to see a ghost, which it honestly, it's a walking tour. Okay, it's a walking tour, people. It's rare that you'll even find somebody not drunk, passed out on the side of the sidewalk. Really, especially in this city. It's. I have if you can't tell, I have a few tour guide friends, and a lot of them have outwardly said, like, hey, this is a walking tour. If you actually think that you will 100% encounter a ghost on this tour tonight, then what are you still doing here? Because it's not a ghost hunt. It is a tour. It is about the history of the place. It's about what happened there. Happened. Past tense, not still is. Like the Lollery Mansion, yeah, some every now and again, like something might happen there as far as a ghost sighting or whatever, but it's not 100%, and it's not 100% all the time. It's not all day, every day. If you really want to make sure that you encounter a ghost, then I don't know, get a job working at Netflix. I don't know, make a TV show out of it. That's really it, because like I said, it's not going to happen every single goddamn day. But or just, pick up a pen and, write a book. Like write a fan fiction novel. But my entire point with this video is make sure that you are actually ready. Because if you just say, yeah, let's do it, let's fuck around and find out, then you might not like what you actually encounter. And I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to have the patience for that. And I can almost guarantee you that a lot of other people will not as well. Now, I am going to put my child to bed because she's getting antsy and she doesn't. This is the first time she's actually awake for one of my videos. But enjoy the rest of y'all's night, day, whatever. Next week, I can't 100% guarantee there's going to be a video because next week is kind of a week for me. I might do a little short video on necromancy offerings and memorial type stuff. There's a very specific book that I am going to recommend, but next week again might not be a video week, but we'll find out in just a couple of days. So with that being said, good night, good luck. And if y'all have any questions, please feel free to comment, message, whatever. Find me on Instagram. It's my user for this too. So I'm always up for talk. Well, that was a great way to end that video. Like I said, like, subscribe, hit the notification button, do what thou wilt. But like I said, if you want to message me, you're more than welcome to. But other than that, this is the end of the video. Thanks, guys. See you soon.